before, like 1 date, 2 date, 3 date, whatever, if it feels right, I don't know, before having sex? Michaela, go ahead.
Yeah, probably just if it feels right, like whenever I'm comfortable enough.
Has it ever felt right 30 minutes after meeting a dude?
No. Not for me.
Good talk. Okay, Bella, what about you?
Yeah, when it feels right.
So like an hour?
It's typically after like maybe like 10 dates.
Bella, come on, bruv. 10 dates?
Is that bad?
You're waiting 10 dates?
10 dates isn't a lot. Oh, if
That's a lot
I
of
usually
dates.
hang out with
You usually hang out with what?
like with the other person pretty often. So
Okay.
it goes by pretty fast, but
That's a
Right.
lot of money.
That's
That's a lot of cost per nut on
Whoa.
that one.
Hold on. Hey, it's a little
Dang.
degenerate.
10 whole dates, $100 a
Very
dinner.
Christian. Very Christian of you to say that. He's not very Christian.
CPN.
The ROI or whatever. Damn, 10 dates?
is that a lot?
No, you should be chaste. In fact, you should wait till marriage.
Some people wait like months and like years.
Yeah, I know, genuinely.
How's 10 dates
I
a lot?
wait my whole life. It's
Yeah, but
great.
some people wait like 5 minutes, so it's like, I could just say that. All right, how long for you?
I'd say like when it feels right, on average, probably about like at least after the 3rd date.
Okay, what about you?
Until I'm in a very committed relationship that could
All right.
potential to be marriage.
What about you?
I'd say 3 dates too,
Three
if it feels right, but try to go for 3 dates.
All right, lucky number 3, okay.
I think in the past, I maybe just a few dates, but now I'm kind of waiting for the right guy.
Uh-oh, okay.
Brian should tell you his. Okay, I'm just gonna. I'm
No,
just
say
gonna
it,
watch.
say it.
I'm
No.
just gonna watch. Okay.
What is no, Andrew? What is it?
So
Andrew.
Brian has an irrefutable argument. It upsets me greatly. I argue with him all the time, and I end up losing on this argument every single time. So here's the argument. The argument just goes simply like this. If you were promiscuous before you got to the man that you really liked, but you were not going to sleep with that man, right, because you now want to wait, wouldn't that man feel gypped?
He might, but I think at least for me, it'll feel, the intention is different.
What?
I agree.
Yeah, the intention is
no dispute there that the intention is
But
different.
yeah, I could
I'm just
see.
let's just look at it from the man's perspective. So let's say, and this, of course, this would never happen because I'm not really a 10, but that's really funny to say. But let's just assume for a second that you and I were dating, right? Hypothetically, of course. And we sat down and we're having dinner and we're having a great time, and we have a few drinks and we get into it and you're like, look, I really like you. I do have a bit of a sordid past. I've slept with, let's say, 10 guys or 15 guys. And some of them, even on the first date. I've done this even on the first date. But with you, I really like you, right? And I want to wait so that this is like meaningful. From my perspective, wouldn't I be like, what the fuck? Like, you fucked all these guys? Like, whoa, where's my, you know what I mean? Wouldn't, from the guy's perspective, how do you think that would make them feel?
Yeah, I understand that. I could see how a guy could, kind of be maybe upset about it or like feel like gypped.
That everybody else
Sorry.
was able to be like, hey, on the first night, I slept with that guy, but that was a mistake. But I really like you, so I'm going to make you wait. Doesn't that just sound backwards?
It can, but then, I'd probably tell him that because he's so special.
Yes,
Oh, boy.
and now we get to the heart of the argument. So you thought that the first part was the argument, but it wasn't. It was just a lead up to the argument. So here's where Brian comes in with the kill shot. That annoys me to no end.
Oh, okay.
Here's the kill shot
you got
to the
it.
argument.
Oh, what?
Brian says, well, then you're faking virtue. Because it was not for you virtuous to not sleep with the men before me. it's only because you really like me and you think my preference is that I want a woman who is virtuous. And so even though you want to sleep with me, you will not because that's my preference. So you're actually faking virtue.
Well, I would probably put it on myself. I'd probably say it's
Sure.
because I was immature, and I think
Yeah.
for once in my life, I know exactly what I want.
Sure, but from the guy's perspective, right, again, from, let's say, Brian's perspective, he thinks, but if you're making me wait and you say you're doing it for me, it's because you must think that I have the preference that I don't want to be with a promiscuous woman. And if you were promiscuous with all the men before me, then you must be faking being virtuous because you think that's what I want.
I don't know what to say.
Can I add something? Because I actually like relate to this a lot. So with my kid's dad, I had met him, but like the first like month or so, like we didn't have sex or anything. So that for me, it was because like most guys usually like they just like want to like hit it and quit it, you know? So like the fact that he also was like understanding of like, oh, you know, like we both actually like cared about each other, like see something in each other to wait. Like, I don't feel like every guy is going to be like, oh, well, why are you going to fuck him but not me?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say you had fucked him on the first night, right? How would that have changed your relationship dynamic?
He probably would have just went on to the next girl and...
Right, so
yeah.
then the virtue here was self-serving. You didn't sleep with him because you thought if you did, he'd move on to the next girl, not because you have an objection to sleeping with him. That's exactly what faking virtue is. That's the heart of Brian's argument, which is why it's so frustrating to me, because I've been pondering for one straight year. This literally plagues me at night. I cannot refute this argument. It bothers me to no end. But what you just demonstrated was the perfect example of faking virtue.
Yeah.
I will not have sex with you because I'm afraid that if I do, it'll give you the wrong idea about me, and then you'll move on to the next girl. Perfect.
So what about the idea of,
right?
like, the
that
guys-
means then that you would sleep with him if you thought he would stay with you.
So what about, because I know like we're both like talking
Hang on,
to
can
other
you answer
people.
to this question? If you
Yeah.
knew for sure that he would have stayed with you if you had slept with him night one, wouldn't you have?
Probably not, because I usually don't just hook up with the guy like the first night.
Okay, night
that
three?
I like.
Night three?
No, because he lived like really far, so we
Okay,
only saw
but
each
if
other
he
like
didn't
a
live
few
really
times a
far?
week.
If he didn't live really far?
Maybe, but
Yeah,
it
maybe.
didn't
So
go
you were
like that.
faking virtue. So what
Not
you were doing is
faking.
you were making him wait because you wanted him to think you weren't that kind of girl. That way, he would stick
Well,
around.
he met me at a strip club,
That's-
so he probably already thought I was that, and he was probably already
Maybe-
expecting to get something
And
out
look,
of me.
Look, every circumstance is different. In this case, I'll even grant in this circumstance it's different. But even then, your entire mindset behind this was, I didn't sleep with him immediately because he would think something bad about me and move on to the next girl, so I made him wait. It was not, though, that you objected to him and you wanted him to wait because of virtue. It was because you thought it was a good way to net him. And so then we get into that's what faking virtue is. And every single time this is played out, it always plays out the same way. And it pisses me off, and I want to like choke Brian all the time. I want to literally strangle him because I don't know how to refute that argument. Because you are faking virtue. You're not doing it for him, you're doing it for you, right? To keep him.
Well, I kind of did it more for me because I wanted it to go
Exactly.
further, you know. So like I didn't want to just give it to him, and you know who knows where it would have went. I wanted to like wait and see where it actually go, and then like if I see it's not gonna go anywhere, I'm either not gonna do it, we're not gonna have sex, or we could just do it and
Right.
move on. Like if that's all.
I agree.
the
I
change.
totally understand exactly what you're saying. You're not doing it though because you think in your head it's virtuous to stay pure. It's virtuous to be chaste. You're doing it because you think it'll.
Well, I didn't
keep
think that because
the
I was a
guy.
stripper, so I'm like, he probably already thinks I'm like a whore, so.
Yeah, right. You're doing it because you think it'll keep the guy. That's what faking virtue is. It's like, I'm not easy. I'm not like this. But you were like this with 10 other guys or 5 other guys or 2 other guys or whatever. But I'm not going to be like this with you. You know what I mean? I'm actually virtuous to keep him interested. That is what faking virtue is. And so this argument I've had trouble refuting when Brian says, well, shouldn't I feel gypped? Because they're just faking virtue. How the fuck is he wrong?
Okay, I have a thought on that. So,
Okay.
And I'll weigh in too. Go ahead.
I think generally, if you sleep with anyone, male or female, I think there's some kind of emotional connection. And if you sleep with them early on, maybe you don't get a chance to actually get to know them to decide whether you do like them or not. So that's my reason.
Okay. I mean,
But you've already, you made that decision later in your life, because earlier in your life, you were more, at least in this situation, the woman was more, she threw it out more often. So she came to this conclusion later. The guy would say, oh, well, that's funny that you come to that conclusion later, but with all those other guys in your past, you weren't so chaste, you know?
Yeah, well, and I think that's why I've always, not always, but I've been in so many relationships that lasted so long. And
You
it's
waited
probably
with
because
all of them?
I didn't wait that long. And I think if I would have waited, I probably wouldn't have ended up being with some of these guys. So it's like a hard lesson that I learned.
perhaps. I do want to come back to it, but really quick, because we were going around the table on this. How long do you think you should wait before hooking up? Quick answers, guys.
At least a month.
I don't believe in hooking up.
Okay. Tilt your mic down a little bit. Go ahead. What about you?
If this is about dating, there is no time you will know. Don't think about it. Live your life and breathe and love. Yeah.
So right away? Is that? am I
It would never
translating?
be right away. Never.
Like same night?
I'm very.
Have you ever like met a guy and then like within
Nope.
24 hours?
No.
48 hours?
No.
72 hours?
No.
A fortnight?
You know, one time.
There was that one guy. Okay.
That right role play scenario.
But I guess my confusion with this whole thing is, and Andrew has most of it down when it comes to the faking virtue thing, but there does seem to be this, there's another component here where it's kind of like there's game playing and then this sort of like, what's going on here, kind of unfair treatment. Like, I'm sure a lot of you guys, I'll give you a scenario where perhaps you can comprehend, because this is a frustration that men experience that I don't think women can really understand or put themselves in men's shoes on this. So here's the example. Imagine a guy who he introduced his friends and family to you, spent quality, long romantic dates with you, revealed his emotional side with you, but he just wanted to smash. But with girls he saw long-term potential in, he booty called them at night, left straight away because he didn't want to get hurt. Like, so he's, what I'm getting at with that example is he's essentially rewarding the woman, get to meet the family, friends, spend these long romantic dates. He's putting in all this effort with the woman he's just trying to smash and have sex with, but the girl he sees long-term potential in, she gets the worse treatment. And so it's interesting to me, like, okay, you really like the guy. This guy's so great, but that's the guy, he's got to wait a month, 2 months, 3, 5, 10 dates. But the guy who's a jerk, asshole, fuckboy, who you have had short-term encounters with, he gets to hit right away. So the jerk, the guy who was a jerk, the guy who was an asshole to you, he hit right away, and I'm the good guy. I'm the guy you actually want a long-term relationship with, and you want to wait. Oh, okay, you're not attracted to me. Or what's the situation then?
But that's exactly the problem, and that's what's contributing to hookup culture.
What do you mean? What's the problem?
Like, you guys automatically assuming that just because a woman's not sleeping with you on the first date that she's not attracted to you. But I would just say
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that like that could be a thought process for a lot of guys.
Right, which is why women are sleeping with men on the first date now. Because if not, then the man would just leave. So I think the jerk that you're talking about, like the ideal man, like the F-boy, like he gets it on the first night because the woman thinks that will keep him around. Like,
to be honest.
But they clearly don't think that because with the guy that they want to keep around, they decide to hold off on it.
Aren't we supposed to bow down and obey man?
I think that's after learning their
We
lesson
can
with
get
the
into that
F-boy.
in a bit, but
Like, to be honest.
here, I
But
guess-
that's just the game. You can't hate the player. That's just the game.
No, but you understand how, like, from the guy's perspective, it's really confusing. Like,
That's why he
because
doesn't
if
find
we
out.
look at it logically, but if you look at it logically, right? Like, isn't the guy who you like are viewing like, oh, this guy could be like long-term relationship potential? He waits. He has to wait for sex, but the guy who's maybe going to treat you poorly, who's a jerk, asshole, fuckboy, he hits right away.
Maybe
like
because-
that's what's confusing.
Because she doesn't want him to stay around.
Is long-term relationship success?
So hang on. So let me just ask you from the guy's perspective. Let's say you and I are sitting down for dinner. Say, look, I only fuck the guys I don't like.
Yeah, it's weird.
What should my play be? What should my play be then? Should it be like, I really want you to like me? Or should it be, I really want you to not like me?
Wait.
Like, what should my play be?
Andrew, that's
Right.
actually a really good. I think we've talked about this before, but that's actually a really good point. So your position is, if a guy wants to get sex, he has to be the bad dude.
No, he has
So
to be
you guys
attractive.
are incentivizing it. Men will do what works. Men, okay.
I think he has to be attractive.
No, men will do what works. So like, oh, you reward the guys who treat you like shit and you fuck them right away? Is it any surprise that if you guys are like giving yourselves sexually to these awful men, that you're reinforcing their behavior?
Well, men don't treat you like shit before they have sex with you.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Like, I don't think have you guys ever gotten treated like shit by a guy? And
But you
had
only
sex?
wait though.
Just because
But
he was
you only
attractive?
but you sleep with men that you don't like, and you won't sleep with men that you do like. So if I'm a man who wants to sleep with you, what should my goal here be? To make you what? Like me or not like me?
Well, I don't think it's
Isn't that what you said? Like our response is going off of what you said. You said, well, they sleep with the men that they don't like. Didn't you say
Yeah,
that?
I don't want for a long-term relationship. Maybe
Because why?
Maybe he's highly desirable. Like maybe he's highly attractive, or he has a lot of money.
Yeah,
He has a
I
lot
guess
of
so.
women chasing after him, so you already know he's not really looking to commit to anyone. But
So
he's
you're
attractive.
settling
Like,
for me?
I think when
Sometimes you
women,
just
I
wanna-
think
You're settling?
no. Sometimes like he's just hot, and you just.
well, you're not
he's just
settling.
hot,
I
so
think
why
when
not?
women
Well,
like.
hang on. How are you not settling?
I think
You
when
say-
women sleep
wait,
around, they
wait.
usually go for men who are of like a higher status and like more attractive, more money, whatever, because they know that
So you're
those men are
settling.
just not going to stick around because they have more
So
options.
let me get this right. Here's your position. Women are having sex with men who are high status, who they don't actually like, who they know they can't actually get.
No, they have
when
to
it comes
like
to
them.
you, though, they really like you, so they're not going to sleep with you, right? Which literally means you're not high status and we're settling.
No, they
That's
have
what
to
that would
like
mean.
them. It's
Okay.
just that they don't see a long-term relationship with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, okay. They
Where
don't
they
see a
know
long-term
that he's not
relationship
looking
with
for
them. So then my goal should be for you to not see a long-term relationship with me then.
If you're just
If I wanna
looking
have sex with
for casual sex as a man, sure, yeah.
Okay,
guess
so
so.
then the best way to have sex with a woman is that she doesn't like you and you tell her that you don't want a long-term
No,
relationship.
she has to like, you have to be attractive, you have to be desirable to her.
Yeah, sure, you're attractive
But you
and
have
you're
to be,
desirable.
like-
But if she tells you she doesn't want to sleep with you because she really likes you, then that must mean you're not attractive and desirable.
No,
she
you're
has
just
more
not
respect for
exceptional.
I feel
Oh,
like if
you're
she
just
doesn't
not
sleep with you at
exceptional.
first, like,
Oh, okay. He was exceptional. I'm not exceptional. You're settling. Right?
Women do settle when it comes.
Okay, right. So you're settling. That's it. So Brian, once again, Brian's argument, king, no refutations whatsoever. It's just the entailment that you are settling and faking virtue for men you claim you like, who you won't sleep with. And this is a problem from the Christian ethic. I really want to destroy this guy on this. I want to completely melt Brian's mind on this. But apparently he's right. Because what the entailment is always is we're settling for you, right? But if you were exceptional, we'd fuck you.
So
Wait.
is that better to have one night with somebody versus you could be married to them, and then if your goal is sex with somebody, being married to them means that you have a long-lasting relationship
I'll answer your
with
question.
them.
I'll answer your question. So, in this scenario, the guy, you're saying it's better to be married to this woman?
No,
Yeah,
no,
we don't want to marry. We don't want to marry the
that
girl.
woman. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, if you're saying, is this based purely off of how quickly I can have sex with a woman? Is
No.
that the
It's
basis of the
It's
conversation?
based on, no. Let me explain.
Okay.
It's based on this. If you have had sex with men before very quickly, but you will not have sex with the guy you're with and tell him it's because you really like him and wanted to go somewhere, right? The idea from the gal I was just speaking to, I'm very sorry, I wasn't here right for the beginning of the show, so I didn't catch your name. She said, and I quote, well, women do settle. You're obviously not exceptional. That's exactly how the guy would feel. He would say, why do these other men get to have sex with you who you say you didn't like? But I don't get to have sex with you when you claim I like you. That makes no fucking sense.
That's
right?
fair. I can't comment on that.
Yeah, so I guess here's the confusion that I have. I just have a question for the panelists. So who do you think, like, which man is, I guess, more deserving, would you say is more deserving of sex? The guy who you see a long-term potential with, or I guess the guy who you don't see long-term potential with?
Long-term
guy.
potential.
Long-term.
Long-term guy? Okay, but so here's the confusing part. You say he's more deserving of it, but you're saying here that you're withholding sex from the men who arguably deserve the most and they put in the most effort, but you're giving it away freely to the guys who are kind of like, maybe they're really attractive, but they're fuck boys, whatever. Maybe they put in minimal or no effort. And a lot of men see this, maybe they never had to pay for a date, never had to be chivalrous, et cetera, et cetera. I think were we talking about chivalry earlier today? So what do men see? They see, why should I do all the chivalrous stuff that women claim they want, all the chivalrous stuff that women demand needs to be in place before having sex, but then that she freely has given herself to men who did not do those things. So like, I don't know the sexual history of the panelists here, but like, it's maybe fair to say that some of you have had, this isn't a judgment, but you've maybe like had a one-night stand or hooked up with a guy relatively quickly who didn't pay for dates, didn't get you flowers or reacted to flowers before, didn't do all that chivalrous stuff. And it's like, men see this. You guys are giving sex to the men that aren't chivalrous, that are just like, text you at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, what you doing? Terrible grammar, by the way. They have terrible grammar too. Not the men. What you doing? They text at a 5th grade level or some shit. And then it's like, oh, now you're 30. Now you want, after you gave yourself to all these other men who didn't have to put in any effort, now you want me to put in all this effort? That's crazy.
You're commenting on what's the problem with hookup culture in
Yeah.
our society. Like, that is the issue, is that by having hookup culture, we are perpetuating a society where it's okay to treat women poorly because as long as you're attractive or as long as you have high status.
Yeah, that's women treating men poorly, not men treating women poorly.
It's both. It takes two to have a hookup culture.
No, in this case, it's just women treating men poorly. What they're doing is gaslighting men. They're saying, listen, I really like you, and so I'm not going to sleep with you. I just slept with 3 guys before you, though, because I didn't like them. That is the stupidest shit that I've ever heard in my life, and there are men who fall for that, but this is not a cause of men. How are men causing that?
I'm not saying...
How exactly are men marionetting women in order to gaslight them with this shit? Like, they're not.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that hookup culture as a whole is negative for society.
No, it seems like it's perpetuated by women and not men.
And that
women
was
are the
what we were
gatekeepers of
talking about
sex,
earlier.
not men. You want equality. The second you say that there's equality, egalitarianism between men and women can make those decisions. And women are making the decision to be promiscuous
Right.
and have lots of sex. They're the gatekeepers of sex. They're the determiners of who gets sex and who doesn't.
Yeah.
How do you not place this squarely at the feet of women?
I mean, I do. That's why, in the Bible it says.
But you said it was
that-
men treating women
No,
badly.
I'm saying I'm
Yes.
saying that hold up. I'm saying that by perpetuating hookup culture, we are perpetuating the idea that it's okay to treat women
Who's
poorly.
we? You mean women?
We women, by hooking up with men, are perpetuating the idea that it's okay to treat women poorly. We're perpetuating the idea that sex is meaningless, that that a sin has now become normalized, that should
You're
be
not
within
perpetuating that men treat women poorly.
That's not
You're
what I was
perpetuating
saying.
that
We're not
women
arguing.
treat men poorly.
I'm saying that sex should not be outside of marriage. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
All right.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I agree with you. Sex shouldn't be outside of marriage, but what you're actually advocating for here is the opposite of what you think. You're not saying that men are treating women poorly. You're saying that women are treating men poorly. You're saying that women are gaslighting men. They're saying to them, I slept with 3 guys before you. And they meant nothing to me. But you, baby, I love you. So you get to wait. That's nothing more than complete gaslighting and virtue signaling. What else could that be?
No, that's fair.
Would that not then incentivize the man to treat you like shit so that you would
Right.
sleep with him?
If his goal is sex, then yeah, that would incentivize. That's what I'm saying is hookup. We're not disagreeing. We're agreeing.
What
I'm
if his
saying
goal
is-
wasn't sex? It was a long-term relationship. How would that make it better? Like, even if my goal was to be like, I want to have a long-term relationship with you, right? Why is it that you not sleeping with me would be better than you sleeping with me if you slept with the 3 guys previous to me who you didn't even like?
Okay, that's fair. I can't talk on that subject.
I got a few more things on this. I got a couple other examples here. Imagine a guy saying, I invested enormous amounts of time, effort, and money into getting sex from random women in my 20s, but now I'm lazy, so I won't make any effort for you, who I say that you're my girlfriend, or who I say you're either girlfriend or wife material, and I want marriage with you. And you have to wait 3 months or until marriage to get all that time, effort, and money.
I think that would be him growing as a person and being smart.
But y'all, maybe that's the case, but I feel like a lot of women would be like, okay, here's a better one. You're dating a guy. You guys been together for a year, but he's kind of like, he doesn't really take you out on dates. Doesn't really take you on dates, doesn't do anything romantic, never took you on a trip, doesn't want to introduce you to his parents, doesn't want to meet your parents. But he's like, I love you, babe. I care about you so much. You're the one. You find out that his last 3 girlfriends, he did all that shit for within 3 months. And you've been dating him for a year. You don't start to question, wait, what? Why did he do all that stuff for his exes, but not for me?
Maybe
You wouldn't
because
feel
his
a
exes
type of way?
played him.
Huh?
Maybe because his exes played him. He felt.
But wouldn't you then think, oh, so I got to deal with your trauma and your bullshit I'm a new person.
Right.
Why do I have to, why did you throw the dice and land on me, and now I got to deal with your bullshit, and we can't have like an emotionally healthy
Because it's
relationship?
a common pattern in men that if you give them sex too early, they will leave. Like that's
Actually,
a general
I agree.
pattern.
I totally agree with her, Brian. I do. Here, let's do it this way. Maybe this is a better way to do this. I was thinking about this earlier. Do all of you on the panel agree that people work through incentives, right? Penalties and then incentives. So if I penalize a behavior, you're less likely to do it. If I incentivize a behavior, you're more likely to do it. Like if I say, I'm going to give you $100 extra if you do this job, you're more likely to do the job, right? But if I say, if you do this thing I don't like, I'm going to dock your pay, you're going to be less likely to do that thing, right? Does everybody agree with that? Show of hands if you agree that that's true. Just raise your hands. Okay, great. Then if we're talking about penalties and incentives, then isn't it true that if you sleep with men you don't like, you're incentivizing men you don't like to sleep with you? Show of hands if that's true. Okay. Then if that's the case, then if you refuse to sleep with men that you do like, then wouldn't that create a disincentive for the men you do like to be with you? Yeah,
Yes.
right? So it's a matter of incentives. So literally what you're saying is we incentivize men to treat us poorly. We're incentivizing men to treat us like fuck dolls and leave us because we give the incentives to the bad ones to fuck us and we give the incentives to the good ones that we're not going to fuck them. It's just it's like candy, right? If I were training a dog, I would train the dog when it did a good thing, I would give it a treat. And when it did a bad thing, I would chastise it, right? Isn't that how you would train a dog? Yeah. So if every single time you slept with a bad guy, that's a treat, right? Then how are you not incentivizing that behavior?
Right.
But I feel
Can
like
anybody give me an explanation for that? Like can any of you give me an explanation for that?
I agree with you.
Yeah, I
can.
agree with you, and I think hookup culture is very toxic. But I think men perpetuate hookup culture the most. and
Okay,
I
well, we
think-
can get into that in just a bit. Go ahead, Michaela.
Right.
I mean, I feel like it's a catch-22 because men not typically staying with women who do sleep with them immediately is incentivizing us to not sleep with them immediately.
Exactly.
So it's
It
it's
is,
like a
look,
Why are you
continuous.
sleeping with them immediately?
I'm not, but I'm just saying, like,
No,
I feel
but
like
why
they're
are
all-
women doing this then? That makes no sense. Like, this argument that you're making right now reinforces my own. Yes, I agree. If it is the case that men are more likely to move on after you have sex with them immediately, then why the fuck are women immediately having sex with men?
That's why they
Can
they were
somebody
that
explain this to
person.
me?
Because
There's people
mean,
that are only meant in that way, and then there's people that
Because,
you really
again-
love and you want to prove yourself. So
Right.
you wouldn't do that on the first date. You care about
No,
what
women
they
are
think.
just retarded?
Others you don't care
I think a
about.
lot of women
There's people
give
you don't care
men-
about, but they serve energy or a day and time, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds, it's the most counterintuitive thing I've ever heard. Like,
Don't worry about it.
you know what? Like, imagine Cindy and Shirley are having a conversation, and Cindy's like, you know what? Men, they only want one thing, and that's to have sex. And Shirley's like, yeah, so we should have sex with them. It's like, it's the stupidest fucking shit I ever heard in my life. Why would you incentivize that behavior if you think that behavior is bad? I don't even understand it.
I have a few more things here, then I do want to move on just because we have quite a bit more to get to. But one analogy, I've said it before on the show. So it's like making a man wait while her woman's past 10, 20, whatever previous partners she slept with on the first or second date is like me going to McDonald's and everyone in the restaurant paid $1 for a cheeseburger. And then there's 3 people in line ahead of me. They all pay $1 for a cheeseburger. Then I finally, minutes later, I get to the front of the line, ask for a cheeseburger, and the clerk looks at me and says, "It's $1,000 for you, sir, because I like you more than those other customers. Those other customers were just a mistake. It will be $1,000 for you." You know what I mean? Okay, all right.
It's a good
Good
analogy.
talk. I don't think they get it. I don't know if they get it.
What I see is you want to do good for your man. So part of that is sex. So that has nothing to do with it. The reason why they're leaving these people afterwards and now you have another partner is because they have obedience, they have boundaries, and they know what's good for their whole life. So in that time they saw something that wasn't right and turned away, and that's
Okay.
strength. And
And I guess,
discernment.
I guess final thing on this, and it's, at least from, I understand though as a woman it's a difficult position because on one hand it's like, well, am I gonna lose the guy if I don't? But then you're also like, if I do, then is he gonna judge me or like not want to pursue a long-term relationship? Honestly though, I think if the guy is really interested in you, like if he's going in wanting a long-term relationship and you have sex with him, it's hard for me to see a scenario where he's like, oh, we just had amazing sex and I previously wanted to have a long-term relationship with her. I'm no longer interested in her because of this. No, but then, yes, there are the men who are just interested in sex that you have to be wary of. I get that. My position, though, at least what I'm looking for in a woman is I'm not interested in a one-night stand. Like, if I sleep with a girl, I want there to be a continuity. I want to pursue a relationship with a girl. If I have sex with a girl, like, you have to fuck up really bad in some way after the sex for me to be like, I'd never want to see you again. Like, if I sleep with a girl, there's intention there. I want there to be continuity. I want to keep seeing her. And so at least maybe not all guys move that. Well, I know there's guys who don't move that way. There's guys who are just trying to have sex with you once. Goodbye. Nice meeting you. Wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. I think that's weird, though, for a couple different reasons. But it's like, from my perspective, where I am interested in having a long-term relationship with a woman, I will feel the type of way if I'm like, because I think it's normal to kind of talk about like, oh, well, what's your relationship history, da-da-da. And if you like sussed out like, oh, okay, maybe she's had a couple hookups here and there, and it's like, oh, you want to wait 3 months? And I mean, it's like, oh, we're adults, both already done this. I mean, a woman's free to do that, but then I just kind of feel like she's playing a game. I don't think she's even that into me. And that's just my position. It's kind of like there was this viral thing on Twitter a while ago where a guy broke up with his girlfriend, I think. She said, I would never hook up with you, but you're marriage material. And like, y'all women think that's a compliment? That is, trust me, don't ever say that to a guy. Oh, you're not the guy I would hook up with. You're the guy I would date. Or trust me, don't say that to a dude because
sounds horrible.
It's not good. Like, it's not good. Like, we want to be the guy that you would hook up with, but you also want a long-term relationship. And also, like, you can start as like a bit more casual, go into something more serious, but yeah. What's your thing?
Don't men say the same thing, like, oh, I'd smash her, but I wouldn't date her, or I wouldn't marry her?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Sure.
Right.
I don't know.
What does that have to do with anything, though?
Yeah, like, you
Like, what
guys
does that have to do
also
with
pick and
anything?
choose who you want to have sex with, and...
Oh, no, men don't choose who they have sex with. Women choose.
Yeah, sure, but you...
Yeah, men have sex with who they can. Women have sex with who they want.
I would love to hear this from a Christian male perspective. Like, the whole...
Sure.
I would love to hear that.
Do you think that because you're a Christian and a man, that somehow that alleviates you from the same burdens of every other man on planet Earth? It doesn't.
No.
Women are still the gatekeepers of sex, and they're still the ultimate architects of what that will be and who they'll have it with. Go ahead.
I just think that most men that I know that are Christian, that's not like the primary focus in their life is to have sex with a woman. Like, they have the reason for Christianity. But I mean, to follow the principles in the day-to-day life, right, is to, you're trying not to sin.
Here, let me just make it really simple. You're waiting until marriage, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is a secular convert. Like, this specific topic is probably more secular because I'm assuming, like, at least for him or certain Christian men, they're waiting until marriage. So I don't think this conversation really pertains to like a Christian dynamic.
Actually, it does. It does pertain.
Well, it might pertain to it would it pertain to it in the sense that a Christian man who's waiting for marriage wouldn't want to?
Well, there's no distinction here with it.
It's kind of funny because
Christian women still pick.
Yeah,
they're still the choosers.
I have also been in a situation with a previous ex-girlfriend where like she was not a virgin, and she once said something. She said, I said, I would have been able to get you to sleep with me, right? I'm like, if we weren't Christians and we weren't waiting till marriage. And she said, no, I was at the point in my life at that point where I wouldn't have given it to you. And I was like, I feel pretty gypped by that. I feel gypped.
In my life where I would have, right? That's the
exactly
there, right?
Yep.
So the thing is like Christian men, they also have to deal with an entirely other aspect of this, which is the virtue of the woman who says, I'm now a Reformed Christian, though I was promiscuous in my past.
100%.
And now you should accept me because I was promiscuous in my past. But Christian men still have the option of saying, no, I still have a preference against your former promiscuity. The woman, though, is still the chooser. So the thing is like, no matter what, whether you're a secularist or you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, maybe not Muslims, it depends on the region, right? But if you're a Christian in the West or a secularist, the woman's still going to be the chooser, the decider on the access and gatekeeping to sex, even if they're waiting to marriage. You're just elongating the process, right? But it's still the same thing. So if you were to tell me, let's say I was on like christianmingle.com or something, and we go on a date, and I sit down with you, and you're like, look, I am a saved woman, right? I'm a born-again virgin, though your hymen doesn't grow back. You are a born-again virgin, whatever that means, and you're going to go on the straight and narrow, and I'm like, wow, great. I'm glad you're a woman of virtue now. That's fantastic. I wouldn't hold your past against you, of course. You came to Christ. That's fantastic. But then he said something to me like, yeah, if it's the guys I didn't who I would sleep with, we're still in the same exact position. We've just added Jesus Christ to the mix, right? It's still the same thing.
All right.
There's no avoiding the question.
Moving on.